Hey, Cal Forever here. Spiritual Journal Flow. Um, it's pretty rainy out today. I think it's gonna storm the next few days. This is gonna be like the last cold spell here in Arizona, and then things are gonna. I think the equinox is on the 16th, and things are really gonna begin to flower. Well, slowly, I guess, at its divine timing. Man, I'm like not giving myself enough credit, and I just watched this video on the Higher Self channel, and it was talking about feeling stuck, and about this time last year and during the winter of last year, I was just meditating. I was just like rest, and I ended up kind of getting involved in things I shouldn't have gotten involved with, and my guides were telling me not to, and I was just dealing with a lot with my twin flame, and a lot of confusion, a lot of frustration, and I was just trying to meditate, and I was like ready to just do something with my life, and I felt like I was being lazy, and I had pressure from family members, you know, telling me I was lazy and not doing anything with my life, and you know, I ended up making all these stupid decisions because of it. And maybe I needed to make those decisions because I really felt like I was guided because of what I was going through. I feel like Jesus really wanted me to go to Mount Shasta, which is what I did last year. And I think he'd been trying to get me to go there for a while. And when I was driving up the mountain, he came out of the clouds as a white version of himself, like a white apparition, in a white version apparition of me in front of him, and like came into my body, and it was like some kind of anchoring something into my body. So that was kind of a confirmation of why I needed to be there. And there seemed to be kind of a lot of synchronicities, and I think the divine was, they were really guiding me to heal me, to allow me to experience things, to kind of get it off my chest of kind of like toxic behaviors and habits, and I kind of dove into that and did that, whereas before I felt like those things were a completion in my life. And now I feel the ultimate completion of those, because even in the stagnation in the past month, I did kind of look back at those things and realize, yeah, I don't want that. That's I don't want that in my life. That's just a distraction, and it doesn't promote life. It takes life. And so I feel really strong in really who I am now and what I want to do with my life. And I guess it kind of goes back to my childhood when these toxins came into my life, where I was really motivated. I was a skateboarder. I was really good at that, and I was really good at like skateboarding. I picked something and I just went with it, and was passionate about it, and I got really good at it. And so 4 years ago, I started skateboarding again, and it's like, yeah, this isn't really my passion anymore. And I got passionate about throat singing and doing sound healing, and that's something that I just went with, and worked a lot on, in the meditation with it, and breath work. And when I learned something, I was learning some about astrology today, and I tried to learn about astrology a while back, and it wouldn't come in, it wouldn't click, I wouldn't understand it. But today, when I was looking at it, like, I started to understand it. It was like that was the appropriate time. And maybe it's that we need to create space to receive these sorts of things, and we need to clear out blockages. So everything kind of comes in divine timing. And this video on the Higher Self channel was talking about feeling like you're stuck, and it felt like and she was saying sometimes we have boredom parts in our life where like we might be beating ourselves up for us not moving forward and things not manifesting, like we're being lazy and we're not doing anything. And it's like yesterday, all I pretty much did yesterday was just lay in bed and meditate. And I'm just thinking like, oh, I'm being lazy. Am I going to get fat over this and that? And it's like, no, I'm sitting, and I said it in one of my videos yesterday, like, I'm like meditating and anchoring in so much light and clearing so many blockages and just so much stuff is happening. And we need to lay here because, and this is how the lady in that video was describing it, whereas we're bloomed. Like I'm bloomed, or we're beginning to bloom. But I know this is kind of almost like goes against the seasons, but like I bloomed in December, in the middle of December, and all that light was coming in, and it was like, whoa, this is intense light. And it was like a flower blooming, and all of a sudden it went from closed to open, and it's like now all this light and all of its sensitive parts. And that's how it was for me. And now I'm kind of beginning to close, or at least I'm used to that, and my chakras bloomed, and they expanded to a new level, and they've integrated that, and they're finding stability now. And I feel like I'm like starting to find some stability and gaining some energy back, and because I want to be external and be of service. And I was thinking about going to Hawaii. Now I don't want to go to Hawaii. I mean, I do want to go to Hawaii in the future, but I need to stay here in Sedona and do some things. And that's kind of what I did around this time last year, where I decided to end my lease and travel, because I just wanted to travel. And thing is I can still travel. I can still do those things. But I need to keep my foundation here in Sedona, because the rent here is pretty cheap, the place that I found, and I need to be stable, and I need a solid place where I can lay my head. I need to not be a traveler. It's great to take a month to go on the West Coast and go up to Mount Shasta, and that's something I want to do with my twin flame. And it could even be a thing to go to Hawaii for a month or a period of time and experience that. Those are all okay options, but right now it's like I need to build off of all these spiritual things that I have been working on the past 4 years. And it's time to take the next step. And right before you take the next step, it's kind of like this lull, this boredom period. And the past 3 years, I've kind of came in and out of this. And so I've kind of actually been in this for the past 3 years, just going through these spiritual changes. In the message, honest, this is kind of funny to think about. Like, the message that I got from the Pleiadians 4 years ago was that you need to go through these changes. And so we're going through these changes. And I'm blessed with my finances, even though they're kind of iffy right now. Actually, I actually got a decent amount of money for the first time in my life. And I feel somewhat comfortable. But, I don't really have to get a job right now. And, I do have this opportunity to meditate. And my guides are definitely taking advantage of that opportunity to upgrade me and to heal me. And, I wish there were more people in my life that recognize that and would just, like, tell me what I tell myself. Like, and that's what I feel like that video on the Higher Self channel was confirming for me. Because, when you sit in the stagnation for so long, it's like, yeah. And then you see someone else progressing and learning, and it's like you feel like you're not doing anything. And it's like, oh, I need to do this and that and progress forward. I'm behind. And that's kind of the way the energy is in the astrology, too. It's like we feel like we're behind, and, we're not behind. We're growing our roots in deep. That's what's happening in this deep meditation. I am creating a foundation, and it's a very strong energetic foundation. So these things externally are just going to start manifesting. because we're changing the frequencies within ourselves. First, it has to change within ourselves. Then it will externally change. And, you know, some difficulty that I have is like my dad. You know, I was trying to get singing bowls for sound healing sessions. That was when I kind of started doing the spiritual journal flow again. When I was talking about that, and my dad just said something really discouraging, and he's like, "Oh, well, I ain't gonna help you with singing bowls. That's what going for walks and meditating and taking care of yourself does for you." And it's like, you know, and no harm on my dad. My dad's a great person. It's just that really shows how the old energy sees things. It's they're just all externally driven, and they don't understand the energetic side of life in doing the inner work. And so it's just in this period, well, like I was going through a lot of suffering, a lot of pain, and I feel like I'm mostly out of that pain. And it's just kind of a whisper, kind of slowly cycling out of. But right now I feel like I felt like I've had a lot of energy today, like a lot of energy. And not quite a lot of motivation, but just a lot of energy to like climb a mountain and to do things. But at the same time, it's like, you know, I went to the store, and when I was coming back up the hill, it's like, well, I have a lot of energy. It feels good to walk up this hill, but at the same time, I feel like I'm dissociating from my body, and like I'm ungrounded, and like now I'm experiencing anxiety, because when you start to get ungrounded and get kind of overloaded on your senses, especially your psychic and energetic sensitivity, because that's part of being a flower in bloom. Like, we're flowers that are coming into bloom, and we're getting used to this light, and it takes time to get used to that light so we can hold our bloom, you know. From star seed to full star bloom. So if you're going through if you're going through this stagnant phase where there's a lot moving around inside of you, and you're experiencing a lot of clearings, and you're just having to meditate and rest all the time, it's because you're chosen to be a leader. So if you're seeing someone out there doing their magic, and I mean, not everyone's like this, but like there's some people that are healers but aren't quite on this path yet of really stepping into the next phase of the new earth energy. You know, there's this one guy that was doing healing here at my house, and he's good at the gongs and stuff, but he's just, his energy is dense, and maybe I don't need to be mentioning this. Yeah, there are some things I don't need to mention, because I had to kind of, me and my roommate kind of had to kick him out of the house. And I don't know why I'm mentioning that. I was trying, now my brain's getting all kabobbled. There's so much energy right now. I feel so much energy, and it feels good, but at the same time, I'll feel irritated and flustered, and like I want to lash out, like I'm being triggered. And it's like, that's a good time to like just spend time by yourself. Don't be around people. And but it's like I'm seeing some people, I'm not trying, see, this is why it's hard to express this, because I'm not trying to put myself above anyone, but what I'm simply trying to say is like, I'm becoming a very advanced soul. I'm integrating my higher self into my body, so much of my soul into my body, and there's people that are out in the external world doing the work, and that's exactly where they need to be at. So nothing against them, but I just don't like it when I feel like I'm being judged and misunderstood and underestimated by a lot of these other healers. I don't know why I'm feeling this. Maybe I'm picking up on this in the collective. and I feel like Sedona, I kind of got that rap, and I feel like I am about like I'm about to step into this very important role. Like my energy is very strong and very powerful. I'm very magnetic, and at the same time, I feel like kind of doubtful. Like, am I gonna be able? Can I really be that sort of a spiritual teacher and like share? Am I really gonna be able to download these teachings and be like Matt Kahn? Like Matt Kahn's someone that inspires me. I've had someone tell me like you're like a young Matt Kahn. Like your journey is very similar to his and what he went through. And it's like Matt Kahn's a very powerful spiritual teacher. Like he just did a teaching in I think around San Francisco, around the Bay Area, and he boldly said, like, you see, everyone in the audience, they're meditating because I transmit samadhi, and everyone in the audience is in deep samadhi. And that's a bold thing to say. That's a very confident thing to say. And I feel like that's what I'm being called to do, is to be in a leadership role and spiritual teacher role like that. Of course, that's Matt Kahn's journey. My journey is a little different. I love throat singing. And so maybe my thing is to guide people into a meditation. Maybe it is to share a teaching and to download a teaching from the universe and to do sound, the throat singing as well. The throat singing, when I do it, it gets me in a deep samadhi. It gets me in chakra samvara, bliss. And it stirs up. It stirs up the crud in the bottom of your glass. You know, that's a Dharma teaching. You pour in the clean water. That's like your spiritual practice. You know, see, I'm downloading a teaching, and I'm sharing a teaching now, a Dharma teaching of pouring in clean water, and it stirs up all the mud in the bottom of the cup, all the dirt, and you keep pouring in clean water, and eventually it's not cloudy anymore. It stirs out. And then you get a holy cup, you poke holes in it, and it balances out the flow of the water, and it's like an overflowing fountain of youth. So receiving all of this energy right now and upgrading, it's just so that I can just be in the presence of other people, and I'm this overflowing fountain of youth. And then they naturally, it just makes it available for them to get in this deep samadhi state. And that's how Matt Kahn is. And I've seen his teachings in person where he had this huge beam of light coming down from his head and this golden bubble around his head. And the energy was so trippy in the audience. I saw so many guides and so many energies moving. And he's just an overflowing fountain of youth. And I feel like I am like an overflowing fountain of youth, becoming stronger and stronger. I'm not nearly up to that level where that spiritual teacher is at. But I do, intuitively, I do know my place amongst other people. And that's not bragging. That's not showboating. That's being in my masculine power. And something that happened in the spiritual community is to dog upon male energy and to be too feminine, and then it's like not having boundaries and being too, almost like too apologetic and too like soft on people and not being firm. And that's something the universe has really been teaching me since I moved into this place. Like the first week I moved into this place, I had to call the police on this person that was sleeping on my couch because he'd come in to the house in the middle of the night and be really loud and banging on the door. And, you know, I'll be honest with you, and it felt good. And I felt like I needed this to be triggered with me. I had to say, like, I'm going to knock you out if you don't get off my front porch and stop freaking yelling at me because I'm trying to sleep. And, you know, people in that spiritual new age mindset would probably think like, oh, that's like the wrong thing to say. It's like, no, that's the exact thing that I need to say. It's like this person's acting like he's never gotten knocked the fuck on out, you know? You got to show people respect. You can't be banging on our door in the middle of the night. That's crossing boundaries. And it's the male energy to go and knock that person out, you know? Sure, there's like a non-violent way to go about it, and that's the path I chose, and I chose to call the police. But you know, when there's a confrontation, you know, he tried to come in the door. My roommate pushed him on his ass, And it's like, that's the male power. With the power of Christ, the power of Christ compels you. With the power of God, you know, that's the male energy. And it's the right hand, the right side of the body is like the male energy. And like, women love that. You know, that feminine energy loves that, because the women secretly need that. So it's not about being so soft anymore. You know, there's certain times to be nurturing and soft, and men definitely have that capability and compassionate, but you can't always let your compassion get to you. You know, my dad's a perfusionist. He's worked in the OR for like 30 years. You know, he can't let his compassion for other patients really get to him. So he kind of turned a little cold, which created an imbalance, but it's like, yeah. But Cal Forever here. This video is getting kind of long. Thanks for listening to my journal. Peace.